the police department in Georgia did arrest or did issue an arrest warrant. Let me tell you guys though how it kind of went down at the combine today. Obviously, we heard the news. And they have the big computer boards up that tell you which times and where the prospects will be speaking. And Jalen Carter was scheduled to speak earlier today, and there was a massive gathering around the podium. Nobody was saying anything. Nobody was telling us anything. Then there were several people saying that he had left Indianapolis, that he was not here, which may be absolutely true. But moments after that, finally, a combine official did come out to what would have been his podium and said that Jalen Carter was one of 6 players who will not talk at the combine due to medicals. So he was put in the yeah, I'm not buying that. That he was put into the medical talk, and that's the way they compartmentalized it. It was very, I was in the right place at the right time. I mean, there was probably 50 people waiting to talk, and the PR guy comes out. He didn't make an announcement or anything. He just kind of said to any of us who could hear, and luckily I was one of about 5 people who could hear, that this was being put off as a medical issue, and that they made it sound like he's here as well, which I don't believe at all for one moment. I really wonder how this affects or changes the thinking of Ryan Poles, if like now, because everybody talks a big game about culture and wanting the right people and do you love football, Matt Eberflus, and now here you have a case where, and man, it's like the Bears the Bears get to make this decision. You know, they get to be, if they keep the pick and they decide to pass him over, they would be the team that passed over Jalen Carter, and some other team will grab him late in the first round if that's what GMs are saying, that this is a case that is toxic and you want to stay away from him.
What do you think the Bears are doing right now that they have this information, and seemingly no one had this information until this morning?
Yeah, it's crazy, Lawrence, like in that regard. I'm sure the Bears are shaking their heads as well, saying, you know, and unless they were privy to information that we weren't, it's not out of the realm of possibility that in the process of doing their homework and interviewing, that they did learn more about him. But I am really curious. I mean, it's too bad that it was now as opposed to earlier this week, and we could get a more general idea of how, you know, Poles deals with things like this. Well, you know, I mean, there was the Byron Pringle situation, the doing of the donuts in the parking lot, and you know, Poles, you know, maintained 100% behind Byron Pringle despite that whole incident. So I mean, that's the only thing that we would have to draw on, and we just don't know enough, or I don't know enough about the person that is Jalen Carter and how he feels about this. Is it something that he was trying to elude? If he's going to be stand up about it, if there's going to be court proceedings, the whole thing is just a big pile of we don't know at this point. Despite, and you know, as Chris Sims said at the end of his cut, which is true, he's a great player. I know that he's a great player. So are you enticed by the talent alone? And we all know exactly how important that 3-tech position is in this Bears defense.
Yeah, I think the key here is understanding that this is the beginning of the legislation of this situation. This is not even in the middle or concluded, and that very much affects everything. I also want to ask you this. What was the collective reaction around you at the combine when this information came out?
Well, you know how it is, Layla. Like when everybody's phones just start going off, everybody's looking down. I didn't look at my. Somebody said it to me. Hear about this Jalen Carter stuff? I'm like, no. And I looked down. Oh, there it is. So, and then there was a migration towards the podium that he would be speaking at. And like I said, information was very difficult to come by. I was very disappointed with that, because they've got a microphone in there that they can speak on and speak to everybody in there, and they could have said Jalen Carter will not be speaking today. And then, like I said, they've made that sort of passive attempt at satiating us, and only a few of us actually even heard what was going down. So. Yeah, and you're so right, Layla. I mean, this is the beginning of this, and we don't know. I mean, sometimes these things get squashed out really quickly. Sometimes they drag on forever.
So let's play the game out, since it is lying season. Let's play the game out that the combine official that clearly came up there and lied to you guys about this. If you add in that, let's say that what that person said is true, that Jalen Carter is not speaking because of a medical issue, don't you completely wipe him off the board? Like let's play the dumb game. Let's go down the road of there was something that came up in the medicals. He's not going to talk about it. There's also a warrant for his arrest. There were also questions about his motor in the national semifinal. If you're any of the teams that are in the top 5 that were thinking about drafting Jalen Carter, if you add all of that up, doesn't that equal move along from this player?
Probably, yeah. I would, especially where the Bears are hanging out. That's for sure. And I like I said at the beginning, it feels like one of those things where there's going to be a very happy team, like late in the first round, that'll be able to afford to be like, yeah, we could take a chance on Jalen Carter. Like Randy Moss back in the day when he fell to the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, completely different circumstances on what was going on. But I do fear that somebody else is going to get a really good player. But yeah, Lawrence, I do think you gotta wipe him from the board. This, of course, brings Will Anderson into prominence as well, because we've kind of been going back and forth between you want the best 3 technique in Jalen Carter, or do you want the guy who is best at getting to the quarterback, and that is Will Anderson. And he of Alabama spoke to the media today, and I put together a little cut for you guys just to get a little idea of what this kid is all about that I know Bears fans have been hearing about for months now.
It means a lot, that just shows all your hard work has been paying off, all the sacrifices, blood, sweat, and tears you've been doing to get up into this moment. It's super exciting. It's a blessing. Yeah, for me, I like the forklift move. I like to watch Nick Bosa a lot. I like the way he do his bull swipe and stuff like that, so I try to implement that in my game. I feel like football is all about embracing the change, so, no matter, what type of defense I get in, I'm going to adapt to it, and I'm going to be able to embrace the change and embrace the challenge that's there, and, learn the lessons that come with it, and that's what I'm very excited about. Just whatever defense I get in, learning how to operate throughout it, and having fun doing it.
Will, you talk about being humble. How do you stay humble when everybody's talking about you being one of the top 3 picks?
One lady, Terry Anderson, my mom, she always going to keep me grounded. It's about what you have in here, and that's what's carried me to this point in my life. Always knowing that whatever I got going on, my mentality, my mindset is not going to change, and that's what I approach during a week of practice, and that's what I approach in the fleet. Like all my sisters, they played sports, so they played basketball, they ran track, volleyball, and I watched them. I watched how they work. I watched their work ethic. I took the good, I left the bad, but yeah, just watching the way they work, and they put a lot into me. They made a lot of sacrifices for me, running up and down the road, giving me advice, telling me different things on how to go. So it was great. So that's kind of like how they kind of molded me into the athlete I am today.
And there you have the facts of life.
I like his vibe. I like his vibe. He's energetic. He's upbeat. Does he love football?
It seems, yes, Dan. Nobody has to motivate him to play football. So yes, he seems to pass the Matt Eberflus qualification of loving football. I don't know if you guys caught it within that cut, though. He's talking about his sisters. He's got 5 sisters. So there is heavy duty influence from his athletic sisters, athletes. But he's got 5 sisters, and for whatever it's worth, too, that Will Anderson did meet with the Bears. He was very upbeat and positive, and said that he really likes what the Bears have going on. I imagine he would say that towards any of the top 5 teams in the draft right now. But he did have nice things to say about the Bears and his sit down with the teams, and just one so far. There could be multiple meetings, though. That's when you could really tell when they're interested in the guy.